Hello and welcome to another episode of In a Nutshell, Cyrils Brettspiele. My name is Nils and today, Piratissimo from Pegasus. Yeah, Piratissimo is another kids game. This time it's a red box, so it's 6+. You have to be a little bit older. However, I mentioned that right up front right now. I can play that with 4.5+ with my little girl easily. So this is not mandatory to have 6+. Anyway, let's take a look inside the box. You have a plan here with a spinner on here, and you see a couple of harbors, 1, 2, 3 in different colors. You also see a couple of treasure chest islands and white arrows in this direction, red and blue ones here. As always in this Pegasus games, you have cool components like this wooden treasures here. They are little rings. Then you have a wooden die with a tornado symbol on it and numbers from 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 2 tornadoes. You also have a gigantic cool tornado. Not really gigantic, but it looks cool. You put them here on the islands and these ships. That is the centerpiece of the pieces, these ships. And as you mentioned here and here, there are two stacking options. And you stack simply this loot on here, this treasure, like this. So the really important part on that is you always can see right now. Let me finish that for you in a second. That they only fit 7 of these rings on each single ship. 4 in the back, 3 in the front. And that's exactly your maximum capacity. So you cannot stack more than 7 on each ship. But now let's dive into the rules for just a second, and then, as always in a nutshell, let's talk about my personal experiences. Each player is starting out at his own harbor, and the goal is to bring treasures. These treasures here, 9 treasures, back to your harbor. How can you bring back to the harbor your own treasures? Simply, first of all, roll the die. If it's a number, you simply follow the red arrows here, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Whenever you are landing on a treasure chest that is closed, like this one here, you may load up to 3 treasures. Sorry, not up to, you may load up 3, exactly 3 treasures, or here 1 treasure. So you are allowed to either open the chest, then take 1 treasure, or leave it closed. If you're coming to an open chest like this one here, they always have number 2 on it. You are so greedy, you are blinded by the gold, you take the gold. Why this is important if you wanted to take it or not? Simply, your capacity is, as I mentioned before, 7. Whenever you are getting more than 7, your capacity cap size comes into play. You have to downsize down to 3. The rest, the overload, goes back into the supply. So on each single island there's spot for up to 2 ships. So imagine they would surround this island. So up to 2 ships can be peacefully on each single island. Peacefully in brackets, I come to that in a second. However, when the 3rd ship comes around and this island would be blocked and he is rolling a 1, for example, then he's going there. Oh, it's blocked, he's going 1 ahead. Whenever you're coming to this area and you wanted to have a shortcut, simply you can do so by just paying 1 treasure out from your ship. So take a treasure and pay for it. That's how the move works, except for the tornado. I explained that in a minute. As I mentioned before, peacefully in brackets, let's assume this pirate comes here, the blue to the yellow. Instead of taking out the action from the island, the action is always ignored. Only if you are the single player there, it takes an effect. You can now decide to attack the yellow ship. Obviously, if you have a lot of cargo on it already, you probably don't want to. If you don't have any cargo or not enough in your opinion, why not attacking the other one? If you do so, you spin the spinner. On the outside of the spinner, you have this rubies or the yellow ones. If you carry out a ruby, there are 1, 2, 3 rubies and 2 yellow ones. If you carry out a ruby, like in this case, steal 2 from the yellow one. simply take 2 and put it onto your ship. If it carries out on a yellow, the other one is lucky. By the way, in this case it's really up to 2, so you can also take 1 if you desire. Last but not least, what happened when you roll a tornado? Simply, first of all, move your own ship 1 closer in the direction of the arrows. However, you also can take the tornado and put it up to 4 in the direction of the white arrows, so reverse the normal order. Up to 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If the tornado lands on a island where no ship is, nothing happens. But what will happen when a tornado lands on an island with another ship? Okay, then you simply spin again. And now these symbols come into play. This symbol here, for an example, that is the best symbol. That is the symbol you want. You simply take 1 treasure from each single ship. In this case, if there are 2, you simply take 1 treasure from red and from yellow, and instead of putting that on your ship is not there, put that directly into your victory point area. So that's the only way to get these treasures without your ship. That's cool. This one simply means these 2 little diamonds. Each ship loses 2 treasures. And last but not least, this means all the ships has to go 2 spaces backwards. So all of this here takes up to 2 spaces, 1, 2 backwards. It has to land on an empty island, like I did, so you are losing simply a little bit of time. You do so until the first one carries out 9 treasures. The only question is, how can I carry out some treasures? Simply, let's assume I have 5 treasures on here, and I'm coming on my next turn with a 4 here to my harbor. 1, 2. I'm going in. I can spend more digits on the dice as I need it. So and then I'm carrying out 5, and I put 5 treasures into my harbor. Whenever at some point in the game someone brings 9 or more treasures home, he is or she is immediately the winner. But as always, in a nutshell, let's right now talk about my personal experiences about Piratissimo and my family experiences. And obviously it's a kids game, so I played it with kids, so you will hear I'm talking about these experiences with my kids too. First of all, take a look at this awesome ships. I know that this series of Pegasus always have cool wooden components, but these ships are awesome. They are outstanding. With the sails out of plastic, phenomenal. That looks so good. And honestly, I really like that. When we have good quality components and we are playing with my little girl, I like that. And her friends, I really like that. I love that. The only complaint is probably these are a little bit too tiny, so they can falling on the ground and rolling on the floor a little bit. But anyway, I mean, it's 6+, at least according to the box, so therefore it's not a big deal. However, we have a dog, as you maybe have heard before, barking in the background, so he is trying to hunt them because they are looking a little bit like dog treats. Anyway, let's come back to the game. For me as a gamer, I always remember, oh, there was this game in the 80s or early 80s, late 70s, when I was young, Pachisi, hopefully I pronounced that correct. This old, in Germany it's Mensch ärger dich nicht. You roll a die and then you are walking around, and when you come to the same spot, you kick him out and he's getting back. Each player has 4 pawns, so you simply run around the table, and when you make a complete round, you can go into your house and stay there. Do you remember? It was Pachisi, or maybe it's differently pronounced. Anyway, it was just roll your die and take a look what numbers is, and always hope for a 6. The only way to get out of your house, out of your home, was with a 6. And that was a great game for me, the old days, when I had never heard about board games before that days, I thought, well, that is the best game ever, and we played it forever and forever and forever. Now, with all the board games under my belt, I know, wow, that was a super stupid and dumb game. You simply rolled the die, and the person who rolled the most sixes won the game. There was no strategy, nothing involved, it was pure luck. However, again, I played it and I played it and played it. So, therefore, I opened Piratissimo here, and I thought, well, I was immediately in that wheelhouse, and I thought, well, oh wow, that's a different version of Pachisi. Wow, how lame is that? But then, I put it on the table, and we had exactly the same with my little girl than in the old days with me. She loved it. She loved to move around. And of course, the best one was the tornado. I have to admit, in this game, it's a little bit more. It's a little bit more of planning. Simply, why? I mean, because you can decide if the tornado goes back 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can decide if you wanted to attack if you come there. You are making some decisions, more meaningful decisions than in Pachisi, obviously. You can decide, do you want to open the treasure chest or not? You can decide, do you want to attack or not? So there are some decisions you're making. But honestly, I cannot overcome this feeling of, well, that is moving around the board and trying to get high numbers to move fast. Okay, here you wanted to land at some point on the treasure chest. However, there are so many treasure chests out there that you will get some goodies when you come around. And if you're lucky and roll the tornado at some point, then you can also get some money from the ships of the other players, which is cool too. So because you get that immediately into your personal supply. So hope for the right die roll. That's exactly what Piratissimo is all about. But again, kids love it, and parents think, well, where's the strategy in this game? Yeah, if you have kids, please try Piratissimo out. I think, especially with the theme of pirates and stealing treasures, that really works pretty well for kids. Obviously, it's a kids game and not a parents game, so don't expect something like whatever heavy game you like. Doesn't matter if it's Zombicide, if it's Adventureland, it's Mombasa, or is it Terra Mystica. This is obviously not in that wheelhouse because it's simply the game you want to play with your kids. And if you always liked Pachisi and think, well, that's a little bit of boring, go the next step. This is the natural step, the next natural step of Pachisi. You add 2 or 3 layers of planning of how far do you move your tornado backwards, obviously. Do you want to open the chest or not? So you also teach taking risks. Do you want to attack? Yes or no, which is also slightly a little bit of risk. You're not risking your own stuff, but you're risking to getting nothing. So there's always a little bit in risking and pre-planning in the game too. So when I'm going here early, red starts out here. Do I want to take the 3 and risking to have the cap size of my load of 7? Yes or no. So there's a little bit of that involved, but other than that, it's plain Pachisi. Whew, yeah, that was Piratissimo from Pegasus Games. My name is Nils, Cyrils Brettspiele, and this was another In a Nutshell. And yeah, I would say try it out. Go out, try to find a copy and try it with your kid. I'm pretty sure a lot of kids will love it. I'm pretty sure there might be some kids, especially older kids of 9 or 10, who are thinking, well, this is boring, which from a perspective of an adult, it is, of course, but not for a kid of 4.5, 5, 6, maybe 7. If they are learning more and more complex games, this is getting more and more boring. But it feels exactly a perfect gap for the third or fourth game they wanted to play. Okay, again, that was Piratissimo. See you next time. Bye bye, guys.